Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. I am going to begin with a few administrative announcements. So the event is being recorded, so please mute your microphones unless you are presenting. Please turn on your video and have your full name showing so that our presenters can see who they're speaking with. The rules of engagement for the panel will be explained prior to the first panelist, so we'll get over that in a little bit. And then help facilitate the connections. This is educational networking by using the chat channel to provide your name and point of contact information. Include what you offer or seek from the Purple Connection community, and the chat will be saved and cleaned up of any superfluous conversations, and it will be shared to anyone who attends the event in an email tomorrow. Everybody who has registered for the event will receive a link to the recording. They don't get privy to the POC contact info because you guys show up for that. All right, so thank you, and I will go ahead and begin the program now. David, go ahead and share the program slides. Okay. Where'd it go? There it is. Thank you, David. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Emma Toops. I'm the Executive Director for American Warriors and the facilitator for the Purple Connection. This event is hosted and sponsored by Toops Consulting, LLC. This is a business that I do with my husband, David. We both thank you for being here and welcome, especially to those who this is your first Purple Connection event. For our new attendees, thank you, and thank the person who invited you. There's something needs to be muted. Thank you. Especially to those for whom this is your first event. Thank the person who invited you because they felt that you might benefit or contribute to the community. To our regulars, and we've been chatting a little bit, it's good to see you again. Next slide. This is our agenda. So doing the welcome right now, I'm going to be doing a short introduction to American Warriors and the Purple Connection, which then will be followed by our educational networking program. We'll have 3 presenters and then a Q&A, and then a transition tip from an educator expert in the community. Then I'll talk a little bit about how to get involved in additional opportunities, and then give you a preview for next month's lineup and wrap up the event. Next slide. All right, the intro to American Warriors and the Purple Connection. American Warriors is a special interest group of the ACA Business Club, which is a private club with the philosophy that business flows out of relationships. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So members are committed to creating solid connections by learning and practicing the fundamentals of strategic networking and relationship building. American Warriors are club members who have an affinity with or support those who have served our country in military or public service. The mission statement for American Warriors is to provide educational and networking opportunities to veterans who are leaders in business and support the transition of active duty service members into private and public sector business. So the Purple Connection is one vehicle for American Warriors to fulfill its mission. Next slide. All right, so the challenges of transition. This is a very well-researched problem, and it's evident by the multitude of military support, nonprofits, and community organizations that provide services to address them. Driving Community Impact was a white paper published in April of 2015 by the IVMF of Syracuse University. They determined after several years of research and thousands of surveys that the leading gap in services was not the lack of services and support, but the lack of connectedness of the services and support. And very often, transitioning military feel a loss of purpose, feel isolated or misunderstood, or they feel overwhelmed for their need of help, but are disconnected, lack affinity or trust to the people or culture of their new environment. Next slide. So how do you solve it? You create a partnership of stakeholders who have a common goal for supporting American warriors. The Purple Connection is a community of partner stakeholders with a common focus of service, support, and care so that we can effectively address the challenges of transition. Next slide. So what's up with the name? There's actually two reasons for it. In military jargon, the color for joint is purple. When our military is operating overseas on a deployment, that environment is comprised of a multitude of seemingly disparate entities with differing purposes, but they have a common purpose through the operation that unites and focuses their efforts. TPC is an attempt to replicate this environment of joint stakeholders to support the American warrior in transition. Another reason is that when you combine the colors of red and blue, you get purple. In the Purple Connection, we are facilitating the connection of individuals who identify more closely to either the military community or the military support and business community. And when they come together, it's a Purple Connection. Next slide. Here are the vision and mission of the Purple Connection. We create awareness to enable access and then empower action through collaboration and encouragement to expedite reintegration, support growth and healing, and enable opportunities. We do this by regularly bringing together community experts and facilitate connections through educational networking. Next slide. Okay. We're about to go into the program. And so rules of engagement. This is to set some expectations for how this is going to occur. Each participant is going to have 8 minutes to deliver their remarks. There will be a timer. It will be loud. The time can be stopped short and given back for the Q&A, or you can use it all up by the panelist. However, when the timer goes off, please respect the program agenda, wrap up what you're saying, and we will move on to the next presenter. Once each panelist has spoken, there will be 15 minutes for a Q&A. Now, private chat your question to me, and I will ask the questions for you. This alleviates any discomfort for anyone who might be have an aversion to public speaking, the fact that the event is being recorded, or asking a question that maybe they deem is silly. All right, so it gives you a little bit of anonymity. I can't even say it, being anonymous. Okay, so after the Q&A, there will be 8 minutes for a transition tip. And this is an educational presentation for a paradigm, a process, or a resource that applies to transition. After the presentations, if you haven't already, continue to use the public chat channel to share your point of contact information, how you serve or need support from the Purple Connection community. And as I stated earlier, for those who maybe didn't hear the admin announcements earlier, the chat will be saved. And so all contact information and asks for support will be distributed to the people who have attended the event. And you can follow up with each other as you like to deepen the initial connections and ask more in-depth questions of each other. I will do event announcements, and then we will wrap up the event. All right, next slide. First up is our veteran entrepreneur. Christian Amond is an Air Force veteran and owner of ACM Home Inspections. He is a member of the ACA Club and an American Warrior. Christian, are you there?
I am.
Great.
Hi, Emma. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. You're up.
All right. Yeah, like Emma said, I'm the owner inspector, and I'm also an engineer. I own ACM Home Inspections. We're out here in Shawnee, Kansas. I've been in business for about 3 years. I think I'm supposed to mention my contact information, so I'll get that out there right away. Christian Amond. And then my business is ACM Home Inspections. My phone number is 509-995-1840. And my email address is camend, AMEND, @acmbuilt.com. And I'll pop that into the chat box here. Yeah, as Emma mentioned, I am a veteran of the Air Force. That's where I started out, right out of high school. I think uh, uh, it was a good choice for me to go in the Air Force because I still had some oats to sow before I started college. So I didn't do the officer route like she did, but I went in enlisted. I did basic training in tech school in Texas, San Antonio, and Shepherd. And then after that, I was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas. And my following assignment was RAF Lakenheath in England. And while I was in England, we deployed to Incirlik, Turkey for Operation Northern Watch for Iraq. So it kind of dates me a little bit. I got out in 2000. After my time in the Air Force, that's when I decided to go to college and use my GI Bill. So I did that and used it all up. I actually went in the active reserves as well. So I got the kicker to go along with that. So I was doing pretty good in college, and I became a mechanical engineer and later became a professional engineer as well. I worked for big construction companies. Started off with Kiewit, which is located down here in Kansas City, and I've also worked for Bechtel for four to 5 years up at the Hanford Vit plant. I was working on nuclear quality construction up there, so got a pretty good background. But I credit the GI Bill really with giving me a little bit of financial independence, and which led for me to be able to start my business. So the military definitely had a strong influence on why I was able to start my own company. Also, a good choice in my wife helped out quite a bit because she works at Kiewit as well. We're both engineers, so yeah, that helped. So my business, I had a construction background, so my business started off in construction. ACM actually stands for Amen Construction and Management, and I was bidding big jobs, and in the meantime, between bids, I had to keep the money flowing. So I started doing home inspections, and that's really kind of taken over everything. So I've been doing that for about 3 years now. I started my business in Washington State, and we just relocated here to Kansas again this year. We went from Bechtel back there, and now my wife's working for Kiewit again. So we're here in Kansas City, and I started my business right as we got slapped in the face with COVID, but uh, lots of networking has kept me going pretty good. So even during that downtime, I had a virtual event every day of the week that I was attending. Chambers, ACA, and BNI is another one, but I had a different networking group through the whole thing. And so my business actually was building during the COVID thing. So it worked out pretty well. I had a little time to pay attention to actually meeting a lot of folks and spread my wings out in Kansas City. So, I mean, even in the down season for me right now, I'm still going steady. So I expect to be uh, too busy to even keep up this summer. So I met a lot of realtors and it's going really well. So hopefully I'll be looking to hire a veteran or a firefighter part-time this summer to help me keep up with that. And I'm also looking into I do commercial inspections as well as residential inspections. So if anybody knows any need for that, I also do radon measurement and termite inspections. I'm pretty full service inspections. I do testing for air quality and mold as well. And yeah, I've just been super busy. I got an apartment building next week, and I've been working with a lot of people on from the bridge on Facebook and getting to know a lot of investors. And yeah, it's just been going great here. But yeah, I credit the military for getting me started, and I offer veteran discounts, and all my partners are veteran. I work with Cool Heat KC for my inspections. I have them come along for, especially for commercial jobs. So I'm kind of creating a network of veterans inside my other network too. So I definitely have a lot of pride in my background, and appreciate that when other people have it as well. So that's kind of all the notes that I had written down for my experience. If anybody has any questions, I'm open to hearing them.
Okay, there's 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in your time, so we can give that back to the Q&A period, or does somebody have a specific question for Christian?
I do. This is Kathy Lucas. Hey, Emma.
Hey.
Christian, is a good connection for you for the commercial side, like commercial real estate agents?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. That's a great referral for me.
Okay. Well, I have one that I work with in a business development team that I'd be happy to connect you with.
Sounds great. I'll copy and paste my information into the chat right now so everyone has it.
I have a question.
All right. Go ahead, Mary.
Being a home inspector was something that I looked into, and if I'm correct, isn't it like for Missouri and Kansas, like the requirement is after you take the class that you just have to intern under somebody?
Actually, in Kansas, there's no regulations right now. I think 10 years ago there were regulations, but a lot of people are certified through INTERNACHI or ASHI, which is the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors, or American Society of Home Inspectors, I think. But the state actually doesn't regulate home inspections at this time. So there's some people putting in to make it regulated. And in Washington it was. So I took 160 hours of training. 40 hours was on the job with a certified master inspector and took a test. And I mean, it wasn't like the professional engineer exam, but it was pretty close. So I mean, it was kind of tough. But yeah, in Kansas, it's kind of more about how you network yourself, and you have to kind of let everybody know your qualifications verbally. So I make relationships with realtors, commercial and residential as well, and just getting to know people is really the main thing there. And that my qualifications of being an engineer and having a background as a veteran, which I put on all of my marketing. You can see it on my slide there. It's a huge deal, and I got veteran owned on my sleeve and flag on my hat, and so it's definitely it helps. But you still gotta work for it. Nobody gives it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not regulated in Kansas or Missouri at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, the timer just went off. It
All right.
was very loud on my end. Good thing it was muted. Because thank you, Christian, very much for your remarks. Good questions from the community. We're going to move on to the next panelist. Next is our military support nonprofit. Shay Sparks is a life coach, and she volunteers on the public relations team for Veterans for Life USA. Shay, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, there you are.
Thank you for having us. So Veterans for Life USA was started back in 2017 after our fearless founder, Brian Paul, had really changed his life. So before that, I'll take you back, he had joined the National Guard. And within 2 weeks of joining, he was in the Oklahoma City bombing. That's where he was deployed. And he had did amazing work there, and unfortunately had some PTS from it, right? And then he moved from Oklahoma City to Kansas City, and he became a firefighter. And in the firefighting world, first responder world, something that isn't really talked about is that he experienced also a lot of trauma, a lot of loss, a lot of stress. And so he began drinking to an nth degree drinking. And his plan was actually to commit suicide through drinking. And through a series of events and conversations with his mom, he got into treatment. And he went to a place in Tennessee. He got sober. And he came back and stayed in Oklahoma City and talked it over with his mom. And they really decided that because he got a second chance because of her, it was time to help out, give a lending hand to other veterans and first responders. And so what Veterans for Life USA is really helps with post-traumatic stress, addiction recovery, and suicide prevention. And we do that through a couple of different ways. One, all of us who are on the team are advocates, and we help get them into the right provider or service provider or the resource that they need. So Brian had already started this in 2017 and connected with Horses and Heroes Equine Therapy here in Shawnee, Kansas. And it wasn't until actually COVID happened, and in May of last year, he moved back to Kansas City. And so now we have a chapter in Oklahoma City and in Kansas City. And what we are working on is, one, we're having a fundraiser coming up in Belton in April. But what we do is we raise money for the people who cannot travel to where the recovery treatment centers are. We have partnered with Transformations. They're out of Delray Beach, Florida. It is an inpatient treatment center. And for an example, one of our teammates had met this person at church, and she was telling her story about her husband was drinking himself to death. He had retired from the Army, and like most people who retire from the military, he had lost his identity. He was struggling with his job, he was not happy, and he just found himself drinking. And so our teammate shared with her what our mission is, what our purpose is. And she said, would you talk to my husband? And within the next week, he literally was able to be admitted into Delray Beach, Florida. Now, like I said, we help provide services because of, helping for, travel, plane tickets, that sort of thing. Most of the time, if they have insurance will cover the treatment. Well, this particular gentleman decided he was going to drive because he had a friend in St. Louis. He was going to see his dad in Kentucky. So it took him about roughly 3 days to get there. And on the way, every single semi that he saw, he wanted to pull his car in front of. He literally was trying to commit suicide as he was driving to treatment. Now, once he got through treatment, he got there, things got better, he got sober. I think he was there for, I can't remember correctly, I think they said 45 days that he was there. And when he drove back, his wife said, I have my husband back. He's a completely different person. He was no longer suicidal. He was finally found purpose to live. And now he has joined our team, the Veterans for Life USA, as an advocate, him and his wife both. And so what we really do is we take away the guilt and the embarrassment for asking for support when they need it with PTSD, whether it's suicide ideation or addiction recovery. So we provide hope, inspiration, understanding, support, community, and connection. And with our group, especially here in Kansas City, there's about 20 of us. We have team buildings at least once a month and meetings once a month. And it is really a tight-knit group where you feel like a family. So to have somebody who has gone through, addiction recovery and to come back and now be a part of our community is huge. And so that is what Veterans for Life USA.
All right, very good. Thank you. You have 2 minutes and 18 seconds left on your time. So we give that back to the Q&A. Anybody have a specific question for Shay? Any questions for Shay?
I got one, Shay. Do you want to mention anything about the 100 holes held in April?
Yes, thank you. So our fundraiser in April is 100 holes for 22. It's a golf marathon. there is 4 patriots who will do 100 rounds of golf in about 10 and a half hours. And we are doing that in order to raise money again for the post-traumatic stress, the anxiety, depression, and other invisible wounds that we know that veterans and first responders go through. So if it's possible to put a link, they just started a GoFundMe page. If that's not possible, that's fine too. You can find us on the GoFundMe at, I believe, Joshua Sears put it out there, and it's 100 holes for the 22.
All right. One more minute on the time for Shay. Got another question? Anyone? Okay, we can give that back to the Q&A later, and we can move on to our next presenter. Okay, our third panelist is our military-friendly corporate. Heather LaPorta is a realtor with Team Integrity of Keller Williams Realty Partners. Heather, are you there?
I am.
There you are.
Hello.
Great. Okay, so Heather is also a member of the ACA Business Club, and you're up.
All right. Well, even though I'm talking about the transition tip, we are realtors. We are part of Keller Williams, but we're an expansion team. So we also have agents in multiple other states. Unique thing about our real estate team is the majority of our team is actually retired military or military spouses. And we have found that people transitioning out of the military tend to have a great deal of success in real estate, just because you guys have the discipline and the drive to be self-employed and go after your own business. So we've had some great synergy there. Currently, we are in Kansas and Missouri, here in Kansas City. Our main hub is in Arizona, and we have 8 offices there. And we're also in Las Vegas, Nevada, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. And our joke is that the next time somebody gets PCS'd, we'll add our next location. So that's kind of how our real estate team started out and grew. As part of Keller Williams, we're unique in that we're all one team. We all work together. We're all with Keller Williams, but we're all in these different places. Here in Kansas City, we're part of the Keller Williams Partners Office, which is in Overland Park, Kansas. It's actually the largest real estate office in Kansas City. We're 10% of the entire board of realtors, just out of our office, about 600 agents. And we're, I believe, on our 4th or 5th year in a row for being the #1 office in the city as far as number of homes sold and volume of commission paid to our agents. So I'm on here talking about transitioning into a career in real estate. For any of you guys that might be interested, getting your real estate license is actually relatively easy. You just take basically 2 different courses, takes about a week and a half, and take 2 exams. Each exam has a national and a state part. And if you're lucky like us here in Kansas City, you can then choose to get licensed in our neighboring state. So I'm licensed in both Kansas and Missouri. Just to give you an idea, I got my Kansas real estate license in 10 days. I was actually working in the corporate world at the time and took a week of vacation to take the first real estate class that was about 4 or 5 days long. Took the first exam on Saturday, took the second class online the following week, and got my certificate in the mail from the state of Kansas about 10 days later. So it's relatively easy to get licensed in real estate. The challenge is being successful in real estate. We have a system developed in training for our team that has been very successful. We have over 20 agents in production and 10 in support staff. So we have dedicated marketing, dedicated transaction support, which is my favorite part because they take over all the paperwork from when it goes under contract to closing, which allows me to just focus on talking to people and meeting with people. But some of the things, they have some lovely marketing materials they provide for us. With Team Integrity, we help people build a thriving business with our systems and models that are tried and true. You don't have to deal with paperwork or marketing. It's all done for you. And we allow our people and encourage our team members to spend time building relationships with people. So networking is a big part of my business. Meeting lots of new people is one of my favorite things to do. And the majority of my business is referral based, just based on past clients and relationships I have out there. We help people build a business that's a successful model that can last them throughout their lifetime, and it can look like whatever you want it to be. We have agents on our team that close 10 to 20 homes a year. We have agents on our team that have sold over 100 homes in a year. And it allows you the freedom to do whatever you want. They have a lot of information provided here, but really that's just the primary thing, is that we're able to help people in any point in life. A lot of people come from a different career into real estate, and generally if you like people, you have a lot of success. So I'll open it up to questions. I'm pretty short and sweet.
That's a fact, because she is short. And
That is true.
okay, there are 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in your time. So actually quite a little bit of time for questions. I did receive one in a whisper. Someone would like to know how long you've been a realtor.
I have been a realtor for 5 years, but I was a loan officer for 6 years before that. So I have 11 years in the industry.
Ah, okay.
Good question.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. I have a question.
Okay.
So you said that the team helps you to get licensed. So is there study materials that get provided, or there is a opportunity to get a discount on the materials or the test costs or whatnot? How does the team help you with your licensing?
Actually, you're responsible for paying for your own licensing. I can tell you it's a pretty low cost to take the real estate class and exam. Again, it's been 5 years since I took them, so I don't know what the costs are now, but I can tell you that most people generally recoup their costs for exams, joining the board of realtors, that type of thing, with their first sale. They've already moved from in the red to in the black for cost of expenditure there. Keller Williams, our office in Overland Park, actually has a real estate school that we've launched in the last year in there. The real estate classes are discounted based off of what some other locations charge. I want to say the first real estate class, it's depending on where you go, it could be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for the classes and the exams.
Okay. Yeah, there was a question that actually was put in the open chat. Did you take the realtor exam after you were a loan officer?
Yes, it was well after I was a loan officer. So I was a loan officer from 2002 to 2008 and actually got out when the market crashed back in those fun old days. And then I got my real estate license in 2016. So.
All right, very good. I have a question for you. And this is partly because of my own introduction to the VA loan. So you said that you were doing loans before.
Yes.
Was there kind of an affinity or shift into being a realtor because of the VA loan, and you were a loan officer and were familiar with it?
Having been a loan officer helps tremendously as a realtor. Understanding the VA loan is different from any other loan in that the insurance requirements are different. The appraisals themselves can ask for repairs similar to an FHA loan. So knowing that piece of the process is extremely helpful as a realtor. And, you know, with our team, we also know different lenders have different VA programs. For example, I know there's a lender in town that doesn't charge the financing fee. Some places it depends on if you're active duty or if you've already transitioned out as far as if there are fees involved. for the VA funding fee. So just kind of knowing those things and knowing that part of the industry really helps.
All right, good. Let's see. We got 10 seconds. I'm going to let you guys hear what this sounds like. For people who go over time, this is what it sounds like. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
It's very loud for me because I'm sitting right next to it. But now that we've gone over the remarks of each of the panelists, now we have a 15-minute Q&A that we're going to be doing. And in this period of the Q&A, it can be specific to one of the three panelists. We kind of have a little bit of a theme of homes going on, but it can also be a more general question on transition that maybe the folks on the panel can answer, or someone in the community, the folks who are on. So do we have any that might be applicable to ask now? Okay, I have one. So you mentioned, Heather, a little bit about being licensed in both Kansas and Missouri, and that your team is in different parts of the country.
Mhm.
So I know that in Kansas City, because of the nature of Kansas City being in Kansas and Missouri, there's a reciprocity of the licensing. I know in insurance, I used to do insurance. I did that for a year, and I was able to get licensed in both states because of a reciprocity agreement between the two states. Do you know whether or not that is an opportunity that is available for other metro locations that might straddle a state line?
In real estate and in lending, I know it's not. Years ago, that was the case, but the states figured out they can make a little money off of that. And so that went away. I say the state fee is minimal, about $150 a year, depending on the state license. The interest is also every year. Kansas is 5 years, Missouri is 7 years, but Missouri has every real entire state renewal. So my first semester through the year. So this is just doing one time, and maybe doing it again.
Right, because I had my insurance exam. I did not take again to get in the Kansas that I live. I did pay license fee. I didn't have an exam.
There's an exam fee. There's a state you're required to license, our state national and the state exam. At the same time, and an additional state, each have to pass the exam. It's actually really hard for Missouri. So
So you guys are based on state level.
each state has its work class. Fortunately, it counts as an elective for the other state, so we're going to 12 hours of continuing ed this year. So if it gets for Missouri Corps, there's a code of class, and then actually could pay that class on transition bonus. So those 12 hours now, I'm not seeing for the thing. So.
Right.
Is determined by the site. So listening to I'm listing it. Kansas City is also 50% split between the listing brokerage and my brokerage. So if it's not location, then either takes their cuts, and then the marketing expenses, since it's come out of that, and then of course get all the that's all.
Okay.
Just me different.
All right. Okay, I have a question for Shay. So you shared the story of Brian. He's a gentle giant, and you know that he started the organization in Oklahoma, now has a Kansas chapter. Does he travel as far as the message of the organization, and where else might there be new chapters anymore?
That's a great question. We are actually, he's kind of looking into that. Some people reached out to him and said, you know, people here, and he does travel just speaking engagements, and he is also, I'm not sure what you call his job, but it would be for working with transformations out of Florida, or he would run events, hopefully when we get back to having events, and on behalf of transformations, really talking about the story and the connection of a group, the sort of really helps with. So in the meeting, and I'm trying to mention the website, is visionforlife.org, and it is being construction element, so he's the way to go about it.
Right. Maybe I saw it on Facebook.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to get that in the website.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I got plenty. Okay, I have one for Christian. Christian started off construction, and then started doing full-time outside, and I doing full-time. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so question is, being a business, and how many tenants do you have? Do you partner, or is it some families and private businesses?
I think I'm probably going to go around doing some construction. I do. I'm starting to get with Kansas. I'm doing some material section, some instrument management. So I'm sure people are right now, so doing myself for sale.
Or there are better to the original process being known because of the opportunities might be in the course standard
Center and I'm start with Sam and then there's stuff to do contract and service that way. That would be amazing work that started people there so I got to something for that infection nothing that long Congress.
All right, so there are call that you might have to work doing is called he has a credit class, and then there's also Dave who is working in with legal papers. That's how you got into business for. Any questions for panel? Oh, yeah, really I always by each other. And then question that will have to ask me very much about.
I like one more question. I'm just going to get you on the if looking for something, I'm ready for me.
Okay, all right. For this is not familiar with that, people start roads and interaction with cars, and this is has to be a member of a fellowship. Like a opportunity for they're actually work with them about their clinicians actually split because they're joining, and they'll be trying to teach out people and they just learn a little bit about business work of so this background about community right. Remember the whole business program. So I was using that as a opportunity for professional development to go through the all right, very good. Good. Is your question about it?
So I'm not I have talked about service officers. I say you do, and you would bring them over. You with
After this on Center of Students that North Central Last Vacancy, and if they are more over and have interesting teachers in the water, and giving my for the resources of the majority of staff services professor. Some being used to preparation, some are that need to be met, and review so. But there are resources with various of the community, so I think that we see similar certain terms that yourself and they have the able to depend. Others might their reading would be valid because of the familiarity you have on that already. So for this comment, I believe the source for this source I'm using for the rest. This is the process for being lane. So when you're going to be you have to go and that when you rest, then there's a foundation to the submit how the knowledge is and if there's no process all the various to be claimed. So that you would be at the claim is more it is very indicative and take the process to be very so I don't want to be able to do because don't know the process someone's going to certain what the process requires. Well, people that you I'm saying for adult, let's talk about easy so to mind. Many other content is that I in school just tester and not that easy. Right? So not yourself after job behavior by that's all that easy. And I'm impressed. But it will have to be so maybe not not somebody was well you know the most source of with the night was a big night. And I feel like is you know what and the question I asked was I'm not down number. And it's yes. You know this. You talk about it and then based on process do it about me. So what so no they don't share I'm going to and then also like so you know people use it and it's on point. That's right. I have and I really have to it's been like science. Okay, so our son. These today is very important. Resource for cars. To the right passenger side and the lower to be sure angles. Area. Sure. I'm so but he's been there for 8 years and I found it important to build a good relationship with my clients. I'm also licensed in Kansas and Missouri, but what's wonderful is because of the relationship I have with Williams, people different recruiting and taking positions that are outside the Kansas area, I can refer them to agents in the particular state area they're going to. I also recently had a client who was a veteran and I repeat one about that and you know. No, I remember. Honey, this is me. Yeah, you're good. But I think about that treatment, but that's where you mentioned the veteran and we chose the building and he really kind of has all the development and have to do really learn. So all the experience, I think possibly better than better transition in environment from cars. We started to take care of building that came with a agency. I mean, good and we good on the needs one. Not every single conditions so very important so very cool. And then the team made more changes and it's really hard. Oh, I said so you know, I watched all in the past day now. The better my time with that's what. But you know, I'm getting actual good team people for best my for their home. I'm just talking about this is actually different than presentation. She's still for every time you do for you know, very well little bit for them. Well, I'm trying to understand this is better where they are in the West. Or I really she's going to the pictures and she's looking at herself. Very important about really connection. No, there's hardly no that either, but very very right now, because burning so they're not in the house. Before I encourage my clients that pre-approved better than being their quality because of the fact that very people offers also want and that was medicine with my lender she did absolutely she requests affirmation with subs and information she really give it for you all the other my contact every connection so it is everything in place for it. The next resource partner they hold it personally to give $1,000 to $2,000 minimum sales once they were designed after the work is now complete but and set to the head of the and you have my vendors again for closing whether they're in state or whether they're out of state they propel to make sure everything goes through personally. Another partner is a home company. A home plan is a method for fire and repair or replacement or income property such as kitchen heating system hot water heater gas and roof main view. People in the area use home engineers having all these reasons they live on base now definitely owners responsible for these items. So some sellers raise money for the buyers if not I didn't asking sellers to provide. The next resource is to my the home sector and yes I have seen a Christian woman who's now an engineer but he's a home very local builder but he will take your house contract proof and they see all these inspections done. I like Christian no this whole house is heavy ranges of the way down sewer affected to be requested by the buyer. These inspections of course alert the buyer to repairs being made prior to the closing and the seller take out these repairs. The inspection that you know are paid by the buyer at the time they are formed. It's all done at closing. Another resource partner is company and the military makes moving arrangements with their moving to assignment. They handle moving and storage. Stevens Benz Associates currently has a contract on Mason North. This moving company is one of the resource partners in my toolbox. But they also are vendor for Keller Williams Realty Partners in the Kansas City regional area. Another resource making this is a little is a moving ordinance. For some reason, the spouse is left being the one responsible for the move. She may or he, but sometimes it's the military person is moved on and the other person is left to finish up moving things from home. And this moving ordinance can help with the move. But now my research partner is a veteran herself, has been moved in the US and has lived also overseas. She helps to clean out and runs items to move. The next resource is junk removal and hauling and retrieval what on earth. But me and I've seen issues here that don't fit in the regular trash. And a company in the toolbox that does junk removal and hauling. And I know that this company is certified by a veteran and several of their employees are veterans as well. Okay, you want to start out there? Okay. Last but not least, next resource partner is housekeeping. If there's many on off-base hauling research, you may be necessary to do your own housekeeping, and they can help you with this time. There are additional resource partners in the toolbox, but many times helpful once you have moved into the new home, include repair and remodel for decorating the new. All these toolbox resources play a role in the process to your new location. Next slide, please. There you go. All these I've seen how moves can affect children and as well as their pets. And I mentioned that I was a buyer being an author, and we're building many friends are moving. Over the past several years, our activity directors and several memory communities have been moving this book. Some of the projects help introduce a resident to the other residents in the community, and they're agreeing that good use of the service. It can be found on Lulu.com or Amazon.com. I hope this information has been helpful, and to you and to you that are reading, have me, Sharon Keller, help you write the chapter of your life as you ride off into the sunset to your new home. Thank you for having me. All right, next slide. Okay, just to wrap a few things up, I want to thank all of our participants in the program for informing and today, and also to those who may have contributed to the conversation in the Q&A sessions. If you're interested in participate more intentionally in the study of business today, you guys could have memorial agencies. You have memorial for 2 minutes to our free club. We have business of that here and here and other people have studies. You have access to all of the memorials we want. You want to business team. You have all the verses that are sponsored by the club. You have to the members and the ladies to the and we have members for our opportunities every and also leadership opportunities for work groups. The member group is a routine being done so everyone will have a little taste on agency practice. So every quarter is 3 guest time top of the month so you can so in front of it having sense of mind of how you think about it considering the environment you will required to be more successful in your future events. I have just workshop that I'm implementing in the first Thursday, and so this is something that those who aren't maybe we're advertising wants to be is not really using. Unfortunately, it's really difficult because it's how it's make colleagues today. If you're not going to do it, then it's going to for the intro report and the assessment. I'll go over the report and follow up with questions and what's next and something intentional with else. I'm interested in that. It's something that it's not plug or early through Zoom. There's the APOLOGIZE Profusely podcast. And it's also virtual. And usually it's because it's going on the advertised event. Morning of it is workshops growing and youth learning pro selling is introducing the career with employers is occurring. So on the website, whether or not you want to sign up as a employer or as a veteran participant. And then on the next month's earlier, Thursday, February 18th, next slide. Here's the line for February. Our veteran employee who's an army retiree, he has a communications firm. We'll just talk about it will be annual for veteran bosses. We're going to corporate will be representative of people named army retiree. Our transition table, we offer Bob Hughes, who is active serving the City National Guard. He is a local news anchor and reporter for Moving Web TV doing news. So slide. For any information additional to that for today, I meet you have further questions on. Next slide. And everyone for your first, we have room for your honor, the officer of the evening, and we'll see you on this time.